So, tell me, Mr. Cold, what exactly are you? Are you a cryptid, a moth, or a sandhill crane?
I'm author Gwen Elise Clayton, and this is Roger the Tommy Knocker. If you get that reference, you might be a Gen Xer. Anyhow, we are excited to talk to you today about the Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Sláinte. I first heard about the Mothman from the show Hellier on Amazon Prime Video. I binge watched the series 3 times, and once again in preparation for this video today. As disappointed as I was that, spoiler alert, they never found the little green men or even footprints of the little green men. The show had such a complex storyline full of mysterious synchronicities, which I totally dig. My husband and I went to Point Pleasant, West Virginia this past weekend and investigated the phenomenon for ourselves. Take a look. Pardon me? Go on.
Look down the other way, and I see the bridge. That's why it was a fall.
Oh, you knew this was coming home with me. The Mothman Prophecies by John Keel. This was the book that started it all. He notes throughout the book that witnesses describe the Mothman as being 7 foot tall, having a 10-foot wingspan, and his wings are like bird feathers or angel wings. A couple people describe it as bat-like, and he takes off vertically. Well, there's no other animal that can take off vertically like a helicopter or something. Nothing on earth can do that. Not a moth, not a bird, maybe an angel, I don't know. But it cannot be done in the animal realm that I know of. At no point throughout all of the interviews that John Keel did for this Mothman project that he was researching, not one of them described Mothman as a moth. Every single time he was described as a bird or a bat, like I said earlier. The Mothman moniker came about, he explains, on page 78. So everything had come to a head, and the next morning, Sheriff George Johnson called a press conference. Local reporters interviewed the 4 witnesses. So this is back in November of 1966. The very first people to come forward and mention the Mothman occurrence, they talked about this bird. So Ms. Mary Heyer, who was the local reporter, sent out a story on the AP wire that evening. The bird was the chief topic at supper tables throughout the Ohio Valley. Some anonymous copy editor gave it a name spun off from the Batman comic character, who was then the subject of a popular TV series. He tagged the creature Mothman. See, this is an example of how the press sets the agenda. So now, after more than 50 years, this thing that never looks like a moth to begin with, nobody's ever described it as a moth, but we call it Mothman. all because of some anonymous copy editor. How's that for fake news? I'm telling you. Anyhow, we went to the museum and we had a great time. It was very interesting, but I really wanted to know more about this Chief Cornstalk and his role in this whole folklore thing. Chief Cornstalk was an Awanee leader, and there's a whole background on the Awanee and West Virginia and the Iroquois nations that I'm not going to get into in this video. I might do it later, but poor Chief Cornstalk, he was really screwed. He got screwed out of a lot. The Iroquois nation had agreed to give West Virginia, which was the hunting ground for the Shawnee. They just decided to give the, I can't remember if they were French or English or American, but whatever. He gave them this area in West Virginia that was Cornstalk's hunting ground and didn't even ask Cornstalk permission. And that's like somebody coming into your home and saying, okay, somebody else can have your home. You don't need it anymore. I mean, how would you feel if that had happened? But Cornstalk, and I'm not sure exactly how gracious he actually was, but over time, Chief Cornstalk developed diplomatic relations with the French and the English and the Americans, and there's a whole long history about him. And of course, he ends up dying at the hands of some renegade soldiers who just shot him. And it's alleged, legend has it, that Chief Cornstalk's last words were a curse on all of the white men and their descendants. And so from that legend, we get this thought that some people believe that Mothman is some sort of harbinger of doom, and that it was Mothman who predicted the 1967 bridge collapse, or collapse of the Silver Bridge, which is the bridge leading between West Virginia, or Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio. And I hope I'm pronouncing Gallipolis right. I have no idea how that word is pronounced, but anyhow, between West Virginia and Ohio, and it collapsed in December of 1967. So people think that was Cornstalk's curse. Nowhere in the Mothman Museum does it talk about Chief Cornstalk. So after we left the museum and we puttered around Point Pleasant, we went to see the Mothman statue, and we went to the park, which has this beautiful river walk with an amphitheater and murals all over it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Very well done. And more statues of Chief Cornstalk and other figures from local history. It's really well done, truly. We decided to go to the Chief Cornstalk Wildlife Management Area just to see if there was anything we could contribute to the story. I found a tin can at Chief Cornstalk Pond. Eddie and I are here at Chief Cornstalk Pond in West Virginia. It's just 14 minutes from Point Pleasant. And the first thing I noticed when I got out of the car, sitting on the ground, was a tin can. That's right. Someone had littered a tin can. And if you've watched the Hellier series on Amazon Prime or YouTube, you know the significance of a tin can. But then another thing I noticed was there's another tin can, a piece of, I don't know what that is, and a piece of Tupperware. Okay, so technically it's an aluminum can, and I don't know the difference between tin and aluminum. Tin foil, tin can, aluminum can. It's very common for modern day pagans to leave offerings whenever they do a ritual or they want to do some sort of celebration to honor the spirits. I don't like to do that because I think it's littering, and I never know if it's good for the other the wild animals that come by, or maybe I'm going to be doing something to hurt the flora or fauna of the area. But what I do like to do is pick up trash. So this is my service for Chief Cornstalk. Oh, look, a cigarette butt too. Oh, I am not a psychic. I am not a medium. I'm not a UFO expert. I'm just a writer with an overactive imagination. My thought is that Mothman is part of the Fae realm. And this is my thoughts on Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and all of these other cryptids that people swear they've seen. And maybe they have, I don't know. And again, this is not my wheelhouse. I'm just a writer, and this is the story I'm going with for now. Keel, in his book, uses the term ultra-dimensional, or ultra-terrestrial. So it's not just extraterrestrial, or ultra-dimensional, one of the two. I don't remember what word he uses. But anyhow, he explains that this winged phenomenon, whatever you want to call it, Mothman, Birdman, Banshee, Fae, whatever, it can go back and forth between the physical realm that we humans live in and the other realm, any other realm of wherever these cryptids come from. And they can go back and forth, but they resonate at a frequency that our eyes and ears and psyches can't perceive. So I am going to go with that. So what do you think Mothman is? Leave a comment down below and tell me what you think. In the meantime, be sure to give this a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe to the Rivervine YouTube channel, where we share news, features, and commentary targeted to critical thinkers with a sense of wonder. And I'll see you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you later.